MacVoices is sponsored by MintMobile. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/MacVoices. This MacVoices is sponsored by Linode, your solution for when you need a virtual server in the cloud. Need a virtual cloud server like now? Linode has you covered. You can deploy a new server customized to your purpose with the features you want in seconds. Time is money, and if you have that immediate need, Linode is there. And even if you don't need your new server that quickly, Linode is there. And these aren't just any servers. These are SSD-based 40 gigabit network, high-performance processor-powered servers that are capable of web hosting, distributed applications, hosted servers, and more. Pick from a simple $5 per month Nanode plan, or ramp the whole way up to a high-powered dedicated CPU. When you need to upgrade as your requirements demand, that upgrade is a click away. To make some deployments even easier, there's a host of one-click installs available, from Minecraft to WordPress. Need to locate your server in a particular location for either performance or legal reasons? No problem. Linode has servers all over the world. Perhaps most important, though, is their pricing. No surprises, no hidden costs. You pay for what you need, and you pay for what you use on an hourly basis. No data transfer fees like some of the larger cloud services. It's your data. Why would you expect to pay to access it? With Linode, you don't. These are just a few of the features that Linode brings to the table. I want you to visit linode.com/MacVoices right now and see what all the fuss is about. Again, linode.com/MacVoices takes $20 off your first server package. You've been thinking about that virtual server of your own for a long time. Make it happen today with Linode. Thanks to Linode for their support of MacVoices. Welcome back to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, around this time of year, I travel to NAB in Las Vegas and catch up with some friends and a lot of people in the audio-visual industry, as well as the computing industry. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen this time because NAB, as we record this, was just canceled yesterday. So I'm having to do it remotely, which is not all that bad a thing because it means we'll be able to do it in a little more controlled fashion and maybe even in a little more depth than we typically do at NAB. So with that, I'm happy to welcome back to the show Oliver Breidenbach of Boinx Software. Oliver, great to see you, but I'm sorry it's virtual.
No problem. Great to see you too, Chuck. So at least this time nobody will walk in front of the camera while we're recording.
Well, I don't know how much control you have over your camera, but I've got enough control that I can say.
There's nobody here in the room except me. So if someone is passing over here, it's a ghost.
Yeah. Well, I was really sorry. I knew that this year you hadn't planned to come to NAB, but at the same time, I was disappointed to find that out, but also that neither one of us will get to see so many of our friends at that particular show. But, it's a sign of the times.
Yeah, we have to just do it by, Zoom call or something. So, yeah. Yeah, I made the decision not to go to NAB quite a while ago. I opted instead of that attending a conference in February in Monterey, California, from which I've returned just a couple of weeks ago. It's the Association of Community Media Centers, ACM. And it's a pretty interesting crowd of people, and mimoLive fits very well into their needs. And so I was happy I made that decision and went to ACM instead. Spending the travel money on going there instead of Las Vegas was a good choice. So,
yeah,
even with hindsight. So
yeah, and you don't just have a short little commute, for these things.
No.
You're coming the whole way over from Europe.
Yeah. At ACM, I won a prize for being the one who traveled the farthest, so just over 5,000 miles, and there was nobody there who could match it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where in Monterey was it held? I'm curious.
It's at the hotel. I don't actually remember what the name of the hotel is, but it's been a hotel, just right outside of Monterey. of the just outside of the tourist area, and so yeah, it was a good show. And you know, I took a new thing with me, the mimoLive box, which is a, you know, all-in-one solution for live streaming on the go. And so I got to show it there, and yeah, it was very well received. So yeah, it was a good choice to go there. So yeah, and Monterey is beautiful any time of the year. So
yeah.
that's an added bonus.
Absolutely. But you didn't get out to Pebble Beach to play?
No, I did not. And you know what? They have, like, there's another golf course right next to Pebble Beach that's a municipal golf course. So it doesn't have the high fees and the hard way to get in. So I should have done that. But yeah, it's, you know, I'll be back. So and do that. You know.
All right. Let me know,
you know,
next
as
time.
soon as the travel ban on Europeans is lifted again.
Yeah. Well, let me know the next time you're going. Maybe I'll meet you there, because that is a beautiful part of the world, no question.
I'm still planning to come to your ends of the to your neck of the woods, I think is what they say, is like in end of July. So maybe we get a chance to hit some balls.
Yeah, that sounds good. We've done it before. Hopefully we can do it again.
Yes, and at a beautiful golf course, if I remember correctly.
Thank you. Yeah. So Oliver, let's well, since you mentioned the mimoLive box, let's start there, because mimoLive, it seems like is continuing to evolve, and so catch us up with where it stands right now.
So mimoLive is our solution for live video streaming. So you can take multiple camera inputs, graphics, mix them all together, you know, camera switching, computer graphics, you know, what have you. So basically anything that is in a broadcast truck is in mimoLive, which is just a piece of software you can download to your Mac and get started. But you know, to get the video in, the audio in, and to live stream, you always have to set up some sort of infrastructure. So we usually take mimoLive on the road a couple of times a year to go to some events and you know, do the live stream or recording for those people, just so we experience firsthand what using mimoLive is like. You know, we go out and record presentations, or we go and go to a football game or something like that, and just try out mimoLive and see how it works. And you know, the biggest problem, or the biggest you know, hassle always was setting up the equipment. You had to set up the computer, the power cables, then some sort of capture device to capture the cameras. Then you had to set up the cameras, power to the cameras, cables to the cameras. Then you had to set up sound, you know, a different device, also power again, and so on and so forth. And so I thought, you know, this has to be easier. And with a technology called NDI, which replaces, you know, things like HDMI cables and SDI cables for video over normal network, I've built a box that contains basically all the infrastructure you need to get live streaming. So it has a Mac Mini with mimoLive on it. It has a display and keyboard and mouse. It has an Ethernet switch, which we use to connect to the cameras. It has an audio interface where we can get the feed from the local audio mixer. It has an LTE router, so we can connect to the internet from anywhere mobily. It has a Wi-Fi network, and the only thing you have to do to make it work is just plug in one power cable, and that's it. So then you can hook up NDI cameras, and the beautiful thing about the NDI cameras, the PTC cameras from Lumens or PTC Optics or any other vendor right now, is that you only have to run one cable. You only have to run an Ethernet cable to the camera, and you can run that for 300 feet. and there's power over the Ethernet, there's video over the Ethernet, and we can control it remotely. So very easy to set up. So we went to a football game set up there, and because we had to put the cameras, far away and high up in the ranks, it took a while longer to set up, but not as long as we would have if we had to run power cables or hook up all the equipment. We went to we live streamed a concert for the Lions Club of Leoben, where Achim is a member, in Austria. And setup took about 20 minutes. So 3 cameras and the box and audio and everything. And then we could get started with recording, and that used to take hours and hours and hours to set up. So the box is basically all the infrastructure you need for producing mobile live stream. You can take it. It's very compact. You can take it and check it into the to an airplane. It weighs about 26 pounds, so it's not so hard to carry, and it reduces the setup time tremendously. And I took that box to the community media center people, and they were very, very enthusiastic about it. They liked it very much, and so we're now looking at having this thing produced, so people can actually order it.
So, if I heard you right, these are specialized cameras. I can't just take anything and run an HDMI cable to it, or are there adapters available?
Well, there are adapters available, but if you do that, you of course have to still set up the camera with SDI cable or HDMI cable and power supply and whatever you. The NDI cameras are right now a specialized thing, but there's a couple of vendors who make PTC cameras and pan tilt zoom cameras. Those are the cameras you can control. You may know them from surveillance applications. So I can basically move the camera from here and don't have to walk up to the camera to make any adjustments. But they are fairly expensive. I mean, you save yourself one person to operate it and a lot of time to set it up. So if you do a lot of live streams and things, then they are well worth the investment. But still, they are like around $2,000 each, and so But recently there is a company called Mevo. Some people might know the Mevo camera from other applications. They used to be owned by Livestream.com. They're now independent. And they have come up with a new camera called the Mevo Start. And the Mevo Start has NDI built in. It's the first consumerish camera with NDI. And they also gonna ship a power over Ethernet adapter for it. So it's going to be a nice camera with NDI and power over Ethernet. So you can just run one cable to it, and it doesn't have pan tilt zoom, but the whole package is only $400. So that's pretty affordable. And we think that a lot of schools, churches, and that kind of organizations will love those cameras because at a very cheap price and a very cheap infrastructure, because you don't need SDI cables or HDMI converters, and it's easy to set up, easy to use. You basically just need a network and that's it, and that's going to be making those cameras and also the whole NDI ecosystem very interesting to people on a budget.
It's one of those things. You trade cost for convenience or cost for maybe what you already have in hand. Is there any reason, Oliver, with this setup that you can't mix the two? That I can't use some of these as well as maybe something I already have?
Well, there's no real reason. The only thing is that the adapters are more expensive than the Mevo cameras, so you might want just to get new cameras. But there's a number of HDMI to NDI converters available. they're not really as expensive as the camera. So they are about 250, I think. But still, you can mix and match, of course. If you use cameras from different vendors, you always have the problem that they look slightly different. So color is different, field of view is different. And they may also have a little bit of different latency, so they might be a little bit out of sync. mimoLive has some way to correct that, but it's not very. I wouldn't recommend it if you can avoid it. If you want to do multi-camera, just go with the same. But all the same. The cameras all from the same vendor is the best bet. And the best you can do.
Okay. Just trying to make sure. And of course, right now, we're pretty much talking about the Mimo box setup. With mimoLive, as many of us or most of us would download it and use it, you can do all those connections, and mix those cameras with things you already have.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, even with a webcam or USB webcam or whatever.
Right. MintMobile is sponsoring this edition of MacVoices. When was the last time you considered switching your cell carrier? I'm betting it was the last time you paid your bill. There has to be a better option out there than the same big carriers that have the big retail stores and the big bills to go with them. Now, however, you do have a choice. MintMobile is a new, modern kind of carrier, doing business online so they keep the costs down. But lower costs don't mean inferior service. MintMobile has amazing coverage, 4G LTE data plans, and even lets you keep your existing phone if you want to. And MintMobile has all the options you want and use. Unlimited nationwide talk and text, and data plans that run from 3 to 12 gigabytes per month. Those big carriers want you to think that the activation process is complex and difficult, so you won't leave them. MintMobile shows you just how easy it is. Your SIM arrives at your door, the activation process takes minutes, not hours, and you're up and running like nothing changed. Except that it did. You just moved into the 21st century with Mint Mobile. I want you to get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free by visiting mintmobile.com/MacVoices. That's mintmobile.com/MacVoices. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/MacVoices. Thanks to Mint Mobile for their support of MacVoices. The last time we talked, I know that the interface to mimoLive had been simplified. It at least for me, it felt like it was simplified. It started to make a lot more sense. It didn't feel as complex, and I started to understand it a little bit better. Is that trend continuing?
Well, we haven't changed the interface a lot because I personally think it's very intuitive. We have a lot of customers in the education space, schools using it where the kids use it for producing morning announcements. And seventh graders using it, and their learning curve is about 10 minutes. So I don't think it's terrible. It looks a little bit daunting. It has a lot of options, but it's structured very clearly, and once you understand the basic structure, I don't think you're gonna be confused by all the buttons much longer. So yeah, it's always gonna be a little bit more complex to set up. A show template, if you will. But on the other hand, that enables you to do really, really cool stuff. Once the template is configured and set up, operating it is very easy because we have the remote control surfaces where you can have like 3 buttons saying, start, middle, stop, and then and then you have like camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, and you can use basically mimoLive with those 6 buttons, and so you can make it as easy as really easy to use, or you can have the more complex one. So we have one partner up in Washington State. They make something called the One Button Studio Plus, and that's for universities. It's basically a do-it-yourself kit for some. It's a lot. A lot of it is pre-assembled, but you still have to build it into the room yourself. So you take aside a room and then you turn it into a studio that's easy to operate. So the tutors can come in, plug in their PowerPoint presentation, press start, do their presentation, press stop, and they have a recording they can upload on their Moodle or any other MOOC. So for consumption for the students. So that's kind of a way to, in that case, mimoLive has been optimized, and automized so that it can be operated by literally just pressing a button, start and stop. And it doesn't get much easier than that. But to mimoLive, if you download it, we have a lot of templates that get you started with mimoLive easily. But it has so much flexibility, and you have to, a little bit is a trade-off, always a little bit complexity and power versus, simplicity and not much power. But I think we have a pretty good balance there, and it's very powerful. But also, you can get started really fast, and be up and live streaming to Facebook or YouTube really, really, really quickly. That's.
Well, first of all, I think you just told me that I'm not as smart as a seventh grader, but we'll leave that one alone.
Generally, I a lot of teachers come to us and say, is it going to be difficult for me to learn? And I'm like, no, give it to the kids and they will show you how it works. And it's like kids, they are supercharged learners. So it's nothing, it doesn't have to do with the intelligence. It's just the way the brain works, right?
Well, and I think too that if you came to it completely fresh, the metaphors are actually easier to pick up than coming with some kind of preconceived notion with all that baggage that I have, and I know a lot of other people have. They've learned other systems, either live production or post production. Mm-hmm. So you're bringing that and think, okay, this is the way I think it should work, and it doesn't work that much differently. It's just different enough to throw you off. But once you kind of cleared my head out of that, it's like, okay, now I get it, and I just have to learn how to operate it. So it's a little bit different, and that's of course on purpose, because with the traditional broadcast equipment, you really have to have a broadcast degree somehow to operate it. I never can figure out what all the buttons do on the ATEM switchers, or the NewTek TriCast or whatever. And so we set out, on purpose and thought, how should this be so that someone who never has had any experience with video production before can, get their heads around it. And I think, we won an Apple Design Award for it. So I think we did a pretty good job for in that regard. So yeah. Well, it's something that anyone that's interested, right now there are other solutions out there that are, you just fire this software up, point the camera at yourself, hit the button, and you're live on Facebook or YouTube or whatever. And those are fine solutions. But what you're talking about is, you said it well there a minute ago. It's simplicity as a trade-off to power and complexity. And so if you want a lot of these other capabilities, the titles and the ability to mix cameras and do the effects and all, mimoLive is where you want to go. There's no question about it. And also, we have a template for getting your first live stream started fairly easily, and it's like, I think it's like 6 steps or something, tutorial.
and point your camera at yourself and press play. That's basically also what you can do, and then you can get started from there and work your way up the learning curve and get more interesting stuff every time. So yeah.
We'll have more with Oliver Breidenbach of Boinx Software in the next edition of MacVoices, including some discussions of FotoMagico for the iPad, an update on iStop Motion for the Mac, and additional discussions as well. Until then, check his stuff out at boinxsoftware.com. I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. As always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.